Crusader.
Well, this thing was actually a Band-Aid to fix the elevator.
Yeah.
Oh, there was an elevator.
Yeah, that's right. There was a
great
whole
level
level missing here.
Yeah, if you watch the actual game on the deleted scenes, you'll see that level. Yeah, this is...
We actually showed it to the press and everything.
Yeah,
I mean, it
I
was-
just didn't have time to tune it. And there were some issues with it that just never worked out, so that's too bad.
Yeah.
These guys were designed to be kind of the toughest fight in the game, but
They look fantastic.
yeah.
Some of their animations are really good.
yeah.
I think the way they're tuned, though, I think we didn't... I mean, we don't really have any enemy in the game that'll just totally destroy you as long as you're being a little careful, which is good, I think. I mean, again, it goes back to that difficulty issue. Unless you play it in ultra hard mode, which I think
Ares. Yeah,
Ares is pretty
Ares is
dangerous.
pretty tough.
But-
The first time you encounter him, you're like just overwhelmed.
Yeah, he should be. I mean, he's the final boss. But I mean, if you play this game in the hardest mode, man, I mean, you get like 1 or 2 hits and you're dead. I mean, that's a real challenge. And there's a reward for it. There's a reward for that, and there's a reward for finding the Easter egg in the game. But I told Prima, they said, okay, tell us how to get your Easter eggs. I'm like, no way.
You saw that QA wrote a bug up about God mode being too difficult.
Yeah.
That made us laugh so much. God mode is too hard. Please make it easier.
Professional
it's
gameplay.
supposed to be hard. But I mean, it's
So
like,
anybody out there who beats it on God mode, know that
well, anybody who beats it on God mode will get something that is, I think it's pretty cool. I haven't seen stuff like that since the old, days, and I can't even mention the goddamn system. It was a system that was really big in the late 70s and early 80s. And there was a company that did this thing where you could send in your high scores and get patches and stuff. So that was awesome. So the whole point of our rewards for God mode and Easter eggs are...
I love this eyeball.
they're addicted to that eyeball. Every time we got in a render with the exploding head, eyeballs were flying out.
I hated that, but I loved this.
Laughing at the amount of blood in this when I saw it. It's so completely comedy blood.
And every comment we got from Dave was, needs more blood.
The blood
It's
kind of looks
comedy
like
blood,
jelly.
though.
It's
comedy
very,
blood.
very vicious.
I've been playing that certain other
What?
some sort of survival horror game on
Oh, right.
that Cubic system.
Yes.
And
I hear that's great.
it was it's very, very good and much kind of more like real gore than ours. Ours is a kind of comedy gore, I think.
Yeah, I gotta play that. I'm just now starting to get on my backlog of games.
I saw a message board posting the other day that said that someone was bothered by the cage push, the guy being burned alive.
Yeah, I know.
Which actually,
I saw that too.
in a way, was almost gratifying because it's what we were going for.
It was
not just
supposed to make you feel kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That was the idea.
It wasn't supposed to be like, just pushing a X over a square or whatever.
Oh yeah, this was the guy who was like, yeah, I saw that. And he didn't want to buy the game because of it.
Yeah, he was like,
It's
do you
fine.
do a lot of stuff like that? And I kind of wish we did more of it.
Well, there used to be an alternate ending for Cage Push too.
Oh, like the secret?
Yeah.
You jump in the holes, yeah. This is true.
That was nixed.
There was a whole system in this game where every level has all these little nooks and crannies and alcoves and hidden areas. Because originally we were going to let you go back through all the levels and collect these little god statues, and the god statues were what you used to unlock all the stuff. And it was a time issue. We just didn't have time to do it. But I think there was also a sense that for most gamers today, especially 18 and over, who this game is made for, no one's got the time. I mean, you finish a game and you want to put it on your shelf or sell it or say you're done with it. And, replay value is such a weird concept because everyone's like, "What's replay value? What's replay value?" And it's like 20 hours for $50 is a pretty good.
It's a good deal.
Yeah, it's better than movies.
But a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's only 20 hours. I need replay. I want it to be 100 hours." And it's like, okay, well, can we charge you $100 for that? And like, no, that's too expensive. And it's like, all right, well, it's got to give somewhere. I mean, there are games out there that manage to do it, and they're great games, but they're not as sort of scripted and planned out as this.
They're much more open-ended.
Much more open and freeform, which a lot of people like.
I don't think my patience could have allowed us to make a game longer than this one. This is
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I
long.
mean, to make this game any longer would have, it's 3 years.
Yeah, it's 3.5, dude. Since we started.
Yep.
3.5 years. That's a long time.
One thing I wish we'd had was, I know that's in the beginning there was talk of comic book pages and all sorts of different kind of pickups, and that's one thing that I think this game lacks is
collectibles.
Yeah, variety and as far as pickups, and Because realistically, there's only 5 or 6.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot of it too is when we originally did have the god statues, which was at least something, but it just ended up being that we didn't have time to sort of build the entity issues of going back and warping back to Olympus and everything that we would have to do to allow players. And then you'd have to respawn new enemies and all that stuff.
Well, ultimately, it's taken us all this time to tune what we have to a degree that we're happy with. So imagine how bad it would have been if we'd had more.
Yeah,
I think we'd have ended up with another level gone if we'd had more stuff to.
Well, I think it was more of just not another red chest.
Right, I agree.
Kind of issues.
But it's interesting too is that if there were to be a sequel to this game, I've only had an experience with one other sequel, which is when I worked on the Twisted Metal games. But the first game seems to end up sort of being the real kind of nuts and bolts of what you wanted to make, and then it's always the second game where you get to go back because you're not spending all your time and effort figuring out what your game is. So it's almost like the first game tends to have more of the raw soul, but the second game really tends to feel more complete. And if we're fortunate enough, if enough people buy this game, we'll get to make another one, and I'm sure that's where we'll be able to fix all that stuff. Now, it's funny, this is like the most non-linear level in the whole game.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I regret, okay, how do I put this? The levels in the game, for the most part, are relatively linear. And on one hand, I'm happy with that because I think aiming for a bigger audience, a lot of people don't want these big, wide spaces to walk around and get lost in. But at the same time, I think there's something that feels a lot more immersive and adventure-y about having the freedom. And it's also... It's actually a time saver design-wise. You don't want to lean on it like a crutch, but non-linearity in a level like this is enough to get the player's mind involved, and we don't really have to work for it. They're just kind of getting a little lost and wandering around. So I do wish we would have had a bit more non-linearity in the game, but I don't know. I think too much is also a problem. There's a certain game that's out, or a certain series of games that used to be in 2D that I used to love when I was a kid and growing up, and now they switched to 3D, and they're still really good, but they're so overwhelming. There's so much space to explore, and so many, you just spend so much time just wandering around that you kind of lose the pacing of it. So, I know that's blasphemous because people say those are some of the best games ever, but
I would have to completely disagree.
Yeah, I'd take the 2D ones over. Hey,
path before Kratos was clear, but still, the memories came rushing back, as familiar and permanent as the blades chained to his wrists. Memories of what he'd done in the name of Ares. Memories of how he'd become a servant to the god of war. A beast. His humanity robbed. All who opposed him would die. In that instant, the glory he had reveled in turned to horror.
Ares, you will die for what you did that night.
So this is the cake. This is what we called the cake level. It's amazing all the names we had for levels and monsters that aren't the official name. In fact, when Prima said, "Hey, we need you to tell us the name of the monsters," I mean, we've been calling these things like the Skellies and the Dive Skellies and this level's the cake, and it's not really the cake. It's the cake is when you pull the camera back, it looks like a big wedding cake. But so we had like a week before we did this recording, we had to send off to the strategy guide and the manual guys. We had to make up names for all these things, so I had absolutely no clue what they were called.
This level was a nightmare to set up too.
Oh yeah, on the entity side for you? Yeah.
Joe and I had a lot of fun. She doesn't touch this file and I don't touch the core.
We were still finding bugs in this a week ago.
Yeah.
Some quite nasty ones as well. Let's hope that no one finds any we didn't.
Camera was really hard on this too, as I recall. Trying to get
Cameras in the whole game have been very, very hard work. Jessica's done a really brilliant job.
Yeah, she has. We got that. It was funny at the very beginning when we started focus testing this. That was the number one comment. It's like, what do you not like about the game? And the number one comment was, "Oh, I can't control the cameras." And towards probably the last 6 months, with the exception of every now and then, we never saw that comment ever again. And I think a lot of that, if not all of that, has to do with just Jessica and Phil really mastering the system.
I think they've done a very, very good job. I mean, it's a very, very difficult problem, and I think they've pretty much solved it as good as I could have hoped they would have done.
And I think a lot of people are still like, "Oh, I want control of the camera," and I get that, I really do. And we talked about it.
If we gave them control of the camera, they would not get the shots like they do in this game.
No, they
Or
wouldn't.
even the fighting.
The fighting would be slower.
Yeah, as far as the pacing.
there would be a lot of complaints about being killed from off screen.
And you'd have to always look for it's.
I think it's bought us far more than it cost us to do the cameras this way.
And there are going to be people who just never like these kind of cameras, and there's nothing you can do with those people.
But I love the way the game looks because of the completely cinematic camera.
Yep.
I think looks lovely.
Isn't it weird that, well, if you come from England, you can say lovely, and it kind of works.
I'm just here to provide some.
If I said, "Oh, this looks lovely," I saw this funny show last night where can't say what it is, but he's like, "Why don't you put a dress on and do a dance?" I mean, it's like that. If I said lovely, that's what it would sound like.
But I've been here too long now. I actually use the word dude in conversation, which is really not a good thing. I'm letting my Englishness down.
On the other hand, you have a lot of the team saying things like "agreed."
Agreed.
I don't say that. Who says that?
Other members of the team.
Really?
Who aren't here to defend them.
Thank God.
Now, I actually want to talk about your fascination of killing off
Members of
women.
your family.
Yeah, the
Do you,
women.
okay,
Yeah.
let me just.
This is
there's
a very
no women
consistent
killing
theme.
off the women. The two sons got killed.
What are you talking about?
Every
The
woman that
sequel?
appears in this, every woman that appears gets killed.
Okay, let me.
There's some kind of childhood trauma
No.
going
Let
on
me
here.
explain this. And look, I would assume I was arguing again on the internet,
And with me.
and with you about this. It's like, look, I had a lot to do with the design of the game. Obviously, Todd did as well. So I don't know if you come into work and you bring your own sort of personal stuff to work or
dream
not.
about it.
No, but in terms of the design. So like if you look
Yeah.
at the story of this game, if you look at some of the level design of this game, there's definitely a theme running through it. For me, I mean, this whole game, story-wise, which not gameplay-wise, that's something different. Story-wise, the whole game is about, family versus work, and basically losing, that stuff like family and sort of personal things in order to satisfy ambition. I mean, that's the whole thematic of this game. So, I mean, you never saw your wife. We talked about this earlier. I never saw my wife or kid. I mean, that stuff seeps in. I don't know if that stuff seeps into someone's code or if that seeps into someone's entity work. I don't know if...
It's a different issue. This, by the way, is almost my favourite thing in the entire game. The way this looks.
Bug?
Not that bug. No. That bug is not my favourite thing in the game. That bug
What's
is
your
gone
favourite thing in the
final.
game?
The mirrored floor on here and the shot when it's going down the elevator.
Yeah.
Oh, and how this level
I love it. It's really nice.
This is all buggy, obviously.
Yeah, it's all buggy. It'll be fixed in the fun.
and
What
it
about the
runs. That level was such a nightmare, setting up and getting the LODs to work, and just because of the mirrored floor and how heavy it was.
Yeah. Oh, this is awesome. I don't know if it's going to show it on this where Kratos gets killed by the... It's probably not going to show it. I love
But the
when he gets
blood-
killed.
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
little shot.
The god of war. Far away.
Oh, okay, so we will see the blood. That's cool.
Ares knew
But
Kratos
going back to what we were just talking about, I remember watching some of the movies from Twisted Black.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of family stuff in there, too.
There is. I mean, there is.
It's one of Dave's little buttons.
Hey, listen, I think...
The memories.
I'm not... Look, I think for me, the only way I can do my job, which is not to say I am good at it or bad at it or average at it, but for me, you have to bring personal stuff. I mean, you're doing creative work, and if you come in and you don't, you don't reveal anything about yourself either, and it wasn't consciously. It's not like I'm sitting with a piece of paper going, I want to do something about family. It seeps out. If you don't do that, I think you're not really bringing, you're not doing soulful work. You're just kind of dialing it in, or phoning it in. So, yeah, I think you're right. Twisted Metal has a lot of stuff that is... But that has more to do with when I was growing up, and God of War has more to do with me and trying to balance work and family. So again, and I'm not saying it's all about me. You guys might bring your own shit into the game, but I only know sort of what I bring in.
This was a very, very late done level as
Yeah,
well.
it's one of the last
Didn't
ones.
get done till quite close to the end.
This was like after E3, and I was just like, oh, Jesus, another level. I think we were all just burnt out.
It's pretty though. It ended up looking very nice.
It's
Yeah,
pretty,
it's-
it's hard, it's not the best level
No,
design in the world,
it's
but
not.
No intention
It's not.
of resting yet.
It's definitely not the most fun level to play out of the ones we've done,
yeah, there's a reason it's Hades.
but it's very pretty. I love the way they used the fog here as well. I think it's really nice.
I wish that we got the Hades skeletons in though.
Yeah, we had some skeletons that you chop their head off or something?
Well, where you, once they get ready to die, it's kind of like they just blow up.
And they'll chase you around, though.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and take out a certain radius.
I'd always thought we'd get more of those kind of enemies in the game that were more sort of novelty-based AI, and we just, there's only so much we could do in so much time, and
It took a very, very long time to get the enemies we have.
Yeah.
So they're quite time-consuming to get set up.
Well, I know when we were laying out and doing some of the design, I was thinking, we don't have enough enemies, and then when you actually play through the game, you'll see like just the Cyclops 2 or 3 times,
and that's it.
and that's it. But the fodder enemies, like the Harpies and the Skellies, you'll see a lot more.
Yeah, I wonder about that. I wonder if we hit a good balance or not.
Well, I think most of the other games in our genre also have a similar number of enemies to the ones to the amount that we do.
Yeah.
I don't think we're particularly unusual. That rolling log thing was one of the very first pieces of puzzle
Yeah,
I
that's
wrote
right.
code for, and it was one of the
We
very
had-
last ones to make it into the game.
Well,
We had
I
a
knew-
level that we called like the playground or the grab level. and it had an example of every type of navigable surface.
Navigation puzzle.
It had like climb walls. We had a slide mechanic. I don't even know if that ever made it to the game.
It did, I think, in one part.
And we had ropes, ladders.
But those rolling pins were my ace in the hole because I always knew I'd just save it to the end, and Tim would always agree to it because I knew he wanted that in the game. So I was just like, I'm just going to save that till I really need it.
Yeah, the problem was that it was the first thing I wrote and the last thing I debugged because we still found a problem with it last week because they didn't get used very much. I wrote all kinds of tech that for the longest time I didn't think was going to get used. The mirrors. The mirrors were sitting around for a year and a half before anyone used them.
I remember Magnus did that ground fog.
Yeah, we had some nice weather effect stuff that never got used. We'll use it for the sequel.
If we make a sequel.
If we make a sequel.
If we have any money left.
If we have any money.
Let's call Shannon again.
That's right.
Actually,
Let's call her again. She'll go, man, that'd be awesome. Dave, I can't. I'm busy. Poor Shannon.
I think
It's all just fun and games for the rest of us.
Yeah, that's all right.
I think the best part of this level though is the climb wall.
You mean coming up?
With the spikes.
Tobin, who's one of the designers of the game, and he came up with that. He's notorious for just going way over the top with his level design. So he's just like no checkpoints, no save points, fills it with like 1,000 enemies.
All turned on at the same time.
And the first time we played this level, nobody could get more than like 5 steps without dying. And the line I remember, he said to Whitney, who was one of the producers, he's like, "Yeah, finally a fun level." It was like, dude, we can't do this. Nobody can play it.
It was atrocious when we first played it.
But the ideas were still there, like these that he
just
came
a
up
great
with, which I agree with Todd. These are really cool.
Well, I
Americans like them.
Yeah, I think it depends.
People with no taste.
Well, that's going to get...
That's not going to be eliminated.
I'll start some fighting.
I'm just trying to think about all the tasteless European things.
Tasteless European
But I can't think of anything because I was like, what? They make shitty movies. Well, no, they don't. They make pretty good movies.
They make good cars.
They make good cars, yeah.
The shaving.
The shaving? What's that?
Well, that's France.
Yeah.
Well, for Britain, the food.
Pal.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, PAL TVs, man. This level will look good on PAL. It's too red for NTSC television.
Now I wonder, does Prima have a deal with England or Europe? Do we know if this is going, or this is just America?
Not anymore.
This is probably just America because they do their own marketing over there and everything. So, but if it goes over there to those crazy English, what should we say to them? Well, Tim can be their spokesman. I don't know. That's kind of cool. This is the first game that I've worked on that's been released it's going to be released in Europe, it's going to be released in Japan, it's going to be released in Korea, it's released in America.
The first game we worked on that will get released soon.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I don't know if they sell a lot of games in Korea, but I know online games they do, but I don't know about console games. But still, that's pretty awesome just to think that a lot of the world the God of War is going to be sitting in a bargain bin all over the world.
It'd be fantastic.
There'll be people pissed off.
At least my mum will know what I do now.
That's right.
Yeah. I'd like to get some posters and stuff.
For what? Oh, you mean from those games?
Yeah, I think it'd be neat.
You clearly are still single. It's like,
I
want to put a French version of God of War in my apartment.
I'm the only one who has this. Very rare.
Yeah, I'm sure the ladies will really be into that. Be like, oh, wow.
I can get it on a certain online auction site.
That's right. This guy I love. This
guy worked out well.
Same with the voice. The voice was awesome.
All the god voices came out great.
Except Aphrodite, who gives you Medusa's head.
With
you and not this day, creature. It's horrible. But that's the same actress that does Athena, right? Who's awesome.
Yeah, she's good.
We actually had a different Athena, and we chose not to use her and get this new Athena.
But she's still in the game.
Is she? What is she?
She's the twins.
Oh, the twins. Come back to bed, Kratos.
No, there's much more than that.
I remember you coming back with 30 minutes worth of orgasm sounds.
That was one of the most uncomfortable video sessions of my life. She did it twice, and at the end of it, I was like, "Okay, that's great."
But it's hard to direct things you've never done. I understand.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, Dave wrote this dialogue, and I think it's like found it in certain magazines' forum section.
Well, we also had a bug with the twins where when one of them would be talking, it was Kratos' voice.
And for a while, the wind sounds were his swords, which really sounded bad.
Yeah, that was awesome.
He was really,
I remember, again, back to Tobin. Tobin stayed late one night, and he spent forever getting the sounds. He started adding Kratos grunting. It was like, dude, no.
And the big sploosh.
Yeah, the big sploosh, that's right. It's the sound of you jumping in the water at the end. Sorry.
How many times have we come back to talking about the twins?
I love the
We
twins.
love the twins.
So, yeah, I guess this is the last...
Well, the thing that I always wonder about this movie is he throws the lightning bolt,
Now, let's go back to
box
talking about
drops,
sex.
Yeah.
and then why doesn't Ares bend over and pick it up?
Yeah,
Why doesn't Ares open it in the first place? Why doesn't Kratos open it? There's
Why
so
is it
many,
in the water?
There's so many holes in this story. Oh my God, the water. There was a whole miscommunication where this took place in the movies in a desert. And they showed me the movies, and I'm like, this takes place in the water. And we actually got this, the guys who did this movie, the movie Semo Logic, are amazing. But we actually, because of time, got these guys down the street to just add water.
Just to the ending movie.
Just the ending movie, and it looks, you wouldn't know, it looks awesome.
It does look amazing. They did a great job. It's I can't look at it without seeing the holes, like Todd just pointed out.
No.
I wonder to the new viewer, to them it just looks seamless.
What, the movies, the stories?
Well, everything, all the stuff that we.
Oh, I'm sure they'll pick up on something. I mean, let's put it this way: I still don't think, because it's interactive, you never get it as seamless and clean as like a movie.
Yeah.
And that was, if you look at a lot of other games, how they transition in their movies and out of their movies, they don't really spend as much time, I think, as we did trying to get that a lot to really feel like a seamless experience. Some games do. Some
try
games
very hard. It's
do
still
it
not perfect.
It's not perfect.
Yeah,
Some
not
games do it
perfect.
really well, but most games don't really take the time, and maybe just because they'd rather focus on other things, which are important as well. So
We just wanted to make sure it felt as good as it could.
Yeah.
So
Well,
this level was a pain too.
Yeah.
This has a really custom camera to try and keep the action in shot.
But also all the transitions in and out from here to the movies to the second stage of the boss, wanting it to not have load screens, so it really all felt seamless. But there's so many loads happening in here that that was
all reworked in a single day.
Yeah, because it just, when we first saw it the first time, it just didn't feel right.
But we were able to actually. I was amazed at how fast we got it worked out.
And this boss is actually my favorite, even though he's not as interesting as the Minotaur, the Hydras, in terms of things that you can do. I think the second stage is where you actually get to protect the family and you get to go up and hug them and all that. I think it's just, I don't know, I think it's really cool. We should talk about the shitty parts, though, so people don't flame us and go, you guys just thought everything you did was so awesome. I mean, there's got to be stuff what's the thing you're unhappy with the most?
When he walks in, there's Kratos is there, but...
Oh, really?
I always thought that...
No, like in the movie, but when it switches the gameplay, there's no Kratoses.
Yeah, but I always thought that the evil Kratos should have not had the white skin, because when he kills his family, he doesn't have white skin.
Yeah, that's true, but originally they were like purple demons.
Right.
I mean, at least they feel like...
No,
but now,
I
what is it overall, the whole game, though? What are you unhappy with the most? Like, what do you think sucks?
I'm not a big fan of the desert.
The first part?
Just the sound.
The sorbet?
What? Yeah, it's the sorbet. What do you think?
Hades would be the
Yeah,
I
biggest
agree.
one for me.
Hades is the thing I think is the weakest.
Yeah.
Although I think the desert's a close second.
Can this be real?
So we don't think it's all perfect.
I think it's a good game. I wish we could have made it run just a little bit faster. I would like to have maintained 60 frames a second all the time. We've done pretty good, but
it's very rare.
It could have been better. There's always room for
I
improvement.
think it's rare that it drops. I'm sure you know exactly where, but
It's rare that it drops because I played a trick on you.
What?
I changed all the numbers about 6 months ago to make sure that make it run slow.
I got a lot of calls from the artists going, my level suddenly, all my numbers have gone up, and I haven't changed anything.
I did it over an extended period.
Freaks.
It was such an adversarial project. Everybody was actually like conspiring against each other. And
I thought it was important.
No,
I knew that no one else would, so I figured I'd do something about it.
Now, does the Crusher still run slow?
The Crusher does run slow.
We're 1,000.
And I know Pappy took enemies out.
You mean the Pando 1D?
I did not.
You're telling me Tim didn't twist your arm and you didn't go over there and put some enemies out?
I did not take any enemies.
That arm, I nearly had a heart attack when you showed me.
We talked about that yesterday. Originally the blood got on the limbs.
Yeah, the first
And it's like, there's no limbs. What is getting on?
Yeah, of all the gratuitous blood shots, this is the most
This is
gratuitous.
it. Comes out of his mouth even.
It's all right.
I think at this point they got the message.
That one, that's fantastic.
When we said just more blood.
More. Oh, I almost did an imitation of a kid show my kid watches. I'm not going to do that now. I love that with the water.
Yeah, where it turns red.
So, you can explain to me now, since I never understood, why exactly is there a nuclear explosion?
Well,
They showed it to me and said, what do you think? And it used to look more like a mushroom
there was an
cloud.
actual mushroom cloud.
And I said, don't do that. So
Dave was like, I don't want to be political. Somehow that was political.
Oh, but
This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's
it does, though. This looks like basically the explosion destroys Athens.
Yeah, we had to change it.
Now, coming up is where he sits on the throne, and there's all the. We originally had stock footage of actual wars.
Right.
When he sits on the throne, and actually we both took that out. We said, let's take it out, because it was actually, once we got it in the game, it felt really weird
It's still
to be watching. No, but it's all
It's
drawings.
just drawings.
It's all
okay.
drawings.
Originally we had
It
actual
looks like
footage.
stock footage still.
Yeah, we had real footage of people dying and bombs dropping that actually killed people, and it was just like, yeah, we can't. That's nasty. We can't do that.
But there's one drawing in there of the Civil War thing,
Right.
and one of the guys looks like he's smiling. Like when he's shooting another guy, he's just got this huge grin on his face, and
Yeah, those were all, again, last minute.
I wish we could have used the stock footage because it looked so much better, but I think at just end of the day, it was just not a good idea.
The gods had other
why didn't
plans.
he hit any rocks?
I don't know. So we
Because
should
he's
say
a dog.
goodbye now, though.
Yeah, it's been
So
fun.
this is Jaffe, David Jaffe talking. I just wanted to say thank you for watching the commentary. Thank you so much for playing and supporting our game. If you actually sat through this whole thing, thank you very much. Hopefully you'll love all the Santa Monica games coming up. Here's Alex.
Yeah, thanks for buying this strategy guide. I think there's a lot of extra content that we contribute a lot to, so it's gratifying that you're using it.
You guys?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for buying it. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope we didn't make too big a fools of ourselves.
See, there's a guy laughing.
No, that's the Civil
That's
War.
Civil War.
Oh,
There's Civil War.
oh, sorry. It was the
medieval.
Crusades, I think.
They did so under the watchful eye of the man who had defeated
And our ergonomic guy would say he's got bad posture.
Yeah.
He's got the weight of the world.
Kratos has been asking for a new
Anyway.
chair for years.
Thank
It's
you
never
guys.
gonna happen.
Goodbye.
Bye.